coming
Who is
up.
to blame for the destruction of black people?
Well, initially you could say it was the Europeans if you want to go there.
Do you believe that slavery is affecting blacks today?
I believe that psychologically it could, as far as when you look at the mental health, the state of mental health within black Americans.
Yeah.
If you take a slave and then they were freed, naturally they have PTSD and things that come with that, and because of how they feel, they pass that to their kids and then their kids and then their kids. It's like a cycle.
Do you agree that it was the white man who founded the country?
No, because there were like whole families and stuff living here before white people even got here. So if anything, if we really want to get down to the nitty gritty, let's thank the Native Americans for everything that they did.
They didn't do anything. They were sitting around smoking peyote. Do you love white people?
Do Black Lives Matter?
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
How about white people?
Welcome everybody, welcome to another very exciting installment of Culture War. The lady being interviewed is called Miss Proper. She's a rapper, she's into blackness. You see, the thing about being black or being into blackness is that it beclouds your judgment and you just can't see beyond your blackness. You become a victim. When Jessie slipped in that question, do you love white people? She just couldn't answer. But if you watch the video, you see that from the beginning, she seemed like a pretty nice person, open-minded, and she's someone that was very loving and caring and loved all people. But eventually, Jessie exposes her. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get more revealing videos like this. Without further ado, let's get straight into it.
You believe that we should have the right to bear arms?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what do you think about all this stuff going on where they're trying to ban certain guns and they change the age limit as to from 18 to 21 in order to buy a gun? You think they should be doing that?
Well, yeah, as far as the age limit, if you have to be 21, they say to even drink responsibly, how can you have a gun responsibly at 18?
But at 18, you can go into the military, you can carry a weapon there, and if you're mature enough to go into the military and carry a weapon,
right,
why not at 18?
Well, that's different. That's a trained professional. So you're looking at a trained professional whose job is to deal with weapons, and then just normal everyday people who sometimes have no common sense with these things in their home.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you blame guns for the violence we've seen lately?
I blame people.
That's right. Wow.
I feel like if you take all the guns away, there's no guns, they'll just find knives or they'll make bombs like they're doing in Texas. There's always ways if you want to get rid of someone.
That's
it's not
right.
the gun, it's the person behind the gun.
They'll use a car or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing. Who is to blame for the destruction of black people? And not all, but most are very angry and destructive. Who is to blame for that?
Well, initially you could say it was the Europeans if you want to go there. But as far as present day, I feel like we have to, I'm a big person on you have to take care of your own emotions.
That's
so
right.
like if you say something now and I don't like it, that's one thing. But me being upset and lashing out, that's a total other thing. And I think we do need to do better with that.
Yeah. Where does all that emotion come from?
Probably the anger and feeling like every time you do try to do better, you get kicked back and things like that. And then sometimes it's what you learn growing up from your family members. Yeah.
And you say the Europeans in the past have done this to blacks to mess them up?
As far as what they've done, slavery and things like that.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Do you believe that slavery is affecting blacks today?
I believe that psychologically it could, as far as when you look at the mental health, the state of mental health within black Americans.
Yeah.
If you take a slave and then they were freed, naturally they have PTSD and things that come with that, and because of how they feel, they pass that to their kids and then their kids and then their kids. It's like a cycle.
I've always said that there's no such thing as bad children, but bad parents, because you become like your parents. Whatever your parents are is what you become. If your parents are angry and fighting, you're going to grow up doing the same thing. You tend to become like your parents.
Well, that's possible because I do have some traits from my parents, but when you become an adult, you have to take accountability.
Yeah.
Like, when you grew up, you may have learned this total behavior, but when you become an adult and you're making independent decisions, it's up to you for how you're going to behave on a day-to-day basis.
A lot of the illegals, most of the illegals are coming in and they're getting free houses, free food, free education, free everything. And they tend to have babies like 90 going north, and then they want to bring over every Tom, Dick, and Harry with them, And so in the long run, you're going to end up spending more money taking care of them and those who are coming than you would paying for the wall.
So why don't we reform how we accept these people in the country then?
What do you mean?
As far as instead of just setting them up as you are saying, you know, that they're dependent on the system and using up all these dollars, then if someone comes here legally and they are become a citizen or get their green card or worker's permit or whatever legally, show them the skills and the traits like we do any other community center so that they don't have to be dependent, they can be interdependent. And
but we're talking about illegals, they are lawbreakers because they break the law to come here, which make them criminals, and you don't want to reward criminals, do you?
no, we don't reward criminals, but I don't think it should be that hard to necessarily be a citizen if you're a good person. Now, if you have a history of criminal activity in the country you're coming from, that's a different story.
We do agree, though, that they are criminals when they break the law by coming here across the borders illegal.
I don't know why they did that. So while it is against our law, so legally they're a criminal, I'm not going to judge them because I don't know their story.
But you know that they're criminals, all right? That's all we need to know. I don't care about their story.
According to the law, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them are coming in and they're moving into the urban areas, the black communities. And most of these people don't like black people. Even in Mexico,
Yeah, I don't
blacks
understand
are
that.
second-class citizens. Have you noticed that they don't like blacks?
I noticed that more so when I moved here.
Right.
I had a few Mexican encounters, or Hispanic, I
Yeah.
won't just generalize,
Right.
where it was a little judgmental, which is a little confusing to me because I feel like if anything, we should be getting along.
And why do you think we should get along with them?
Well, when you're looking at the minorities in the situation, why work against each other? If they're moving into these communities, why work against each other? Why fight about it?
Because they-
if they, you know, you feel like the government doesn't want you here and we feel how we feel, why wouldn't we come together, basically?
They look down on blacks. Blacks are second-class citizens in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And when they come in, they are overpopulating the schools in the urban areas. There are a lot of women, black women who are citizens here when they go to the hospital to try to get health care or something. The Mexicans are everywhere. And so, and so they have to wait in long lines or get no service at all. A lot of blacks have moved away from South Central LA,
I've noticed.
Compton and other places because they're under attack. Does that bother you that these illegals are coming in and they're taking the jobs, even like contracting jobs and things like that? Are you bothered that these illegals are coming in and they hate the blacks and they're just taking over the
I'm
black
bothered
area?
if anyone hates black people. It's not
Right.
necessarily the illegals. Anyone that feels like blacks are a second-class citizen, I have a problem with that. As far as the taking the jobs, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because I have never like went into a place and there was a Hispanic person working. I'm like, damn it, if they weren't here, I'd have that job.
Well, drive over in South Central LA on Monday morning if it's not raining. You're going to see all Mexicans working contracting
And that's
jobs.
why we, as a community, need to create jobs for our own people. Then you won't have to worry
But
about
those
that.
are the black, that community belongs to the black people.
I'm saying
And
as far
also-
as us being our own business owners and things
yeah,
like
we
that.
should do that.
Right.
And the Hispanics won't hire black people.
That's fine. I'm not
And there's
going to work
something-
there anyway. I mean, I find it interesting, but
Yeah.
they're probably putting their own family first, which can I really blame them for that?
So wouldn't it be nice to send them back home and let them act that way in their own hometown?
I don't really care what they do because it's crazy. When I walk down the street, I'm really not scared of like a Hispanic doing something to me. But when I'm on the metro and I see the Caucasian guy and it's 80 degrees outside and he has on a trench coat, I'm like, that's what scares me.
Really?
Yeah.
But why would you be afraid of the white guy when the Mexicans are more violent than the whites are?
Because a lot of the stuff that happens within the Hispanic communities, there's a lot of gang activity, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Right.
But a lot of that sticks to street stuff when you're looking at most. I'm not in the streets, so I don't have those problems.
Right.
But you have the average Caucasian man who may be mad that he just got laid off or his girlfriend left him, and there goes everybody. I have a major problem with that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about if you got on the train and there's a black person like that, would you be afraid of him?
It's 80 degrees, he got a trench coat on?
Right.
Yeah, why you got a trench coat on? It's 80 degrees outside.
Yeah.
What you got in there?
Should blacks be into their blackness or morality? You know, becoming a good man or a good woman and treating people the way you would like to be treated?
Both.
I'm noticing that blacks are into their blackness.
You can be into your blackness and still be a moral person.
How?
I'm a moral person. I don't break laws. I don't abuse people. I don't.
Are you into your blackness?
Yeah, I love being black. I mean,
No,
I'm multiracial, but hey, I've been treated just black my whole life. That's how
When
I
you say
grew up.
multiracial, what do you mean?
I'm also part German.
Part German? Your father? Or mother?
No, on my mother's side, her mother.
Really? Amazing. And so, is it possible to be into what's right and be into black?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Amazing.
Just because, you know, there's 50 million posts about what blackness is doesn't mean that, oh, I'm going to agree with that. There are black leaders where I may listen to a lecture, as they call it, or when they're speaking, but that doesn't mean I believe everything that comes out of their mouth. I'll take Farrakhan for an example. I don't agree with everything he says,
Yeah,
you know,
he's an
but
evil guy.
depending on, he can be, he does say some bad stuff, I ain't gonna lie. But there's also some other messages in relevance to blackness that you may listen to. That doesn't mean I have to soak up everything like a sponge. I'm 30 years old, you know. I know what's right and wrong.
Do you know that white people are under attack by blacks and Hispanics and others?
No.
Yeah. They remember when they had the knockout game where blacks were going around knocking white people out, robbing them, laughing about it.
Was it just white
killing
people,
them?
though?
Yeah, most of the part white people. Now there may be
No,
some
that was
other,
a definitely wrong game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and agree with that, but
Right.
I don't feel like they're under attack. I just walked in here and there was like a bunch of white people, no bodyguards. I didn't attack anybody, and I don't think they
But
were afraid.
overall, white people are under attack. The white man has been accused of everything that's wrong with everybody else.
Do you think that the white man has done everything right for the country, not just for themselves?
White Americans have done right in that they created the greatest country on this side of heaven. You would agree to that, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Go America. I'm an American.
Right. And so you do agree that white people founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven, right?
Well, they didn't build this country, so they can't take all the credit.
They did build it. Who built
No,
it?
my ancestors and yours too, believe it or
But
not.
they didn't just build it by themselves. They got paid to build it. And then white folks helped them
How you
along
get
the way.
paid to build as a slave? Not
there-
indentured servants, slaves.
But there were slave owners who paid their, some of them paid
Yeah,
too.
but that was rare and far in between. The average life of a slave, they weren't getting paid and going to cash their checks every 2
But
weeks.
do you think the black slave owners paid their slaves that was here in this country?
I don't know what they did, but they shouldn't had slaves at all.
But let's go back to, we do agree that it's because of the white man that we have the greatest country in the world, right?
It's because of a multiplicity of people and races that we have the greatest country. You
But do
cannot
you-
give that to one person.
Do you agree that it was the white man who founded the country?
No, because there were like whole families and stuff living here before white people even got here. So if anything, if we really want to get down to the nitty gritty, let's thank the Native Americans for everything that they did.
They didn't do anything. They were sitting around smoking peyote, and they weren't building anything.
They were minding their business, living a happy life.
No, they living out in the land, but it wasn't even
So-
America at the time. It was just open land. And the
But
white
they didn't
came-
ask for that. If that's what they wanted, if that's what made them happy, what's wrong with that?
Are you grateful that white Americans built the great country on this side of heaven?
They didn't build it.
Amazing. Are you happy that they founded the greatest country on this side of heaven?
Sometimes.
But not all the time?
No, sometimes I feel a certain type of way because of how I'm treated in this country.
And how you're treated by white people?
Well, now, even Hispanics in LA, but yeah,
Who treats you worse, Hispanics or white people?
white people.
How do they treat you?
Oh, it's just the condescending talk. I'm not saying all, just my interactions that I've had.
Right.
The condescending talk, I mean, literally before we moved, we had a drunk driver, a white drunk driver hit the car, hit us from behind. So by default, you're wrong. You're drunk and you hit someone. We're in a white area, 2 white cops were there. He's in the back of the police car. I'm with my little brother. He's calling us all types of N-words. The cops are laughing. And then when they write out the report, they write it like it's our fault. So we couldn't even get anything from insurance. This was a drunk man that hit us from behind. Like,
Were you guys acting out or something? Because blacks tend to carry on when they stop.
absolutely not. I stood there because, for one, it was dark. We already know this area that we were in is Colonial Heights. you know how the police officer's there. And like I said, I had my little brother with me. I'm not going to do anything to
Right.
put my little brother in harm's way.
But-
We stood there, and my brother was in disbelief. He had never been in a situation like that before.
But that's not all white people. It's not even majority.
I'm not speaking about all. I said from my experiences. You said how
Right.
who's treated me worse. I've had more negative encounters with white people than Hispanics.
I've noticed that blacks hate whites more than whites hate blacks. Why is that?
I think that just might be the people that you've encountered.
No, I see it and hear it all the time, everywhere.
I meet a lot of black people, and they don't say that they hate white people. Like,
Do you love white people?
do Black Lives Matter?
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
How about white people?
I love all people.
But I'm only asking about whites.
Do I love them?
Do you love white people?
Are they included with all?
No, I'm just only asking about white people. Do you love white people?
Do Black Lives Matter?
That's not what I'm asking.
I want to know.
No,
because
answer that
what
first
I'm
for
saying
me.
is no different from all lives matter.
No. I'm asking you, do you love white people?
I love all people. And if
Well,
you want to put them in all, then
I'm
yeah.
I'm not asking about all. Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do black Americans have the same opportunity these days as whites do?
These days, I don't know if they have all of the same. I think that they may have more than the past, and sometimes we don't necessarily know that. But to say all, no. I don't think we have all the same.
What is they have the same, you don't think that blacks have the same opportunity that whites have now?
Well, sometimes you have to look at going back to like the single parent household. By default, if you compare a child born in a single parent household, just talking about like financial type of opportunities, compared to someone who came from a lineage with money and a trust fund ready for them, they're going to be different opportunities available. One, because of the money. Two, because of the people that they probably know and things and so on and so forth.
And whose fault is that?
That depends.
On what?
It's a case by case. You can't group everybody in the same. Some people bring it on themselves. Some people have tried and they keep getting kicked down. I know people that have done crimes, but they went to jail. So they paid their time. They did their consequences. It's done. They get home, they're trying to go straight and narrow, but can they get a job?